everyone. Welcome Coasters and Places. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go ahead and like this video, and it just helps my channel out and I greatly appreciate it. So I have done a video just like this before, but it's been several years, and I want to do an updated video for the 2026 of all of the coasters ranked at Cedar Point from worst to best. So I'm going to go over all 18 currently operating coasters at Cedar Point. And this is probably going to have some controversial opinions on it. I know some of my opinions are not in the majority of what people would think, but they are my opinions, and you know, you have your own opinions as well, and just let me know in the comments down below what your favorite coaster is at Cedar Point, what you agree or disagree with. Just, you know, keep it respectful, because as I said, we all have our own opinions, and an opinion is just that. It's not fact. It doesn't make it right or wrong. But I definitely think I do have some controversial, not as popular opinions on some of the coasters at Cedar Point on how I like them. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with number 18. So number 18 for me here is Wilderness Run. This is just a very simple layout, and it's just a kids coaster. It does not go very fast, doesn't get very tall, and it's very, very short. This was Intamin's very first coaster, so I definitely recognize it's a lot of historical importance, and I understand that, you know, younger coaster enthusiasts, they gotta have a starting point for coasters. But, you know, for me, this coaster is just not thrilling. It's definitely my least favorite at Cedar Point. Nothing necessarily wrong with it, but it's really just for kids. It's just, you know, just a very small kids coaster. Number 17 at Cedar Point, I have Woodstock Express. So this is the other kids coaster in the park. This one's taller, longer, goes faster than Wilderness Run. So it's a little more thrilling, maybe for bigger kids, or maybe their first coaster being Wilderness Run. Second one here could be Woodstock Express. This could be more kind of a family coaster as well, but it does what it does well, which is serve as a kids coaster, but it's just simply not that thrilling, not really that fun for me personally, and I just can't really rank it any higher than number 17. Number 16 is Corkscrew, which is, I believe, the second oldest operating coaster currently at Cedar Point. So this is an old aero coaster and opened way back in 1976. So this thing is 50 years old now. That to me is absolutely crazy. So it's really pretty to look at as it goes over the midway, and I do recognize its historical significance. It was the first coaster to go upside down 3 times. However, I a lot of times will skip this ride or just ride it once and brace myself, because this thing is rough. It is old, it is not smooth at all, and to me it is not enjoyable. I can honestly handle old, rough wooden coasters better than Corkscrew. The headbanging and just the general jarring is just a little too much for me personally. I do think it's pretty how it goes over the midway with the corkscrews. So when and if they do remove this thing, maybe leave the corkscrews over the midway just as a pretty effect, kind of like how Alton Towers left part of their corkscrew. But honestly, this thing can go just a really rough, uncomfortable ride. Moving on to number 15, and I have to put Cedar Creek Mine Ride in this spot. So Cedar Creek Mine Ride is another old aero. Back in 1969 is when this ride opened. It is pretty in its setting, how it goes over the water, but to me it's pretty rough, honestly. It's probably a decent family coaster for some. Honestly, kids will probably get a kick out of it. but it's rough. Oh, and if you're tall, you're really not going to have a good time on this. You're going to be banging your knees, hitting your knees. It's not going to be a pleasant ride. It's rough, and it honestly, for a mine train, it doesn't do much. There are aero mine trains out there that are rough, but I still enjoy because maybe the setting's better or they do more. This one just doesn't really do a lot. I understand its purpose at the park, but for me it's just not thrilling, and the roughness. Honestly, this is one coaster I could also skip at Cedar Point. Number 14 is Rougarou, and this is where on the list I get to the coasters that I will ride every time I go to Cedar Point. Unlike a lot of people, I don't hate Rougarou. I really don't. And I do think Rougarou is better than Mantis was. My problem with Rougarou lies mainly in the second half where you can get that headbanging, and it can be rough. If it weren't for that, honestly, I would put Rougarou higher, but that roughness keeps it down for me at number 14. It's not something that you normally expect from a B&M coaster, and because of that, I think it's like, oh, it makes it worse, that headbanging. But, however, it does have really good stats. I mean, I think it has a good layout. I think the first drop, I really like the first drop. I like the vertical loop. You know, it's a solid floorless coaster. However, that headbanging has got to knock it down for me some. If it weren't for that, I'd have it higher. And it's not the worst B&M, but definitely not the best. But yeah, that is Rougarou at number 14. So for number 13, I have Blue Streak, which is the oldest operating coaster at the park and the only wooden coaster, which I do think they need to add a good modern wooden coaster, but that's a conversation for a different video. Blue Streak, I think it's very pretty. It's a very pretty colored coaster, being blue, and it's a PTC Woody. And they maintain it pretty well. It's just got a simple, short out and back layout, but it does have some good airtime with it. It's just not super thrilling. Oh, and also, if you ride it in the back, it's rough. Last time I went to Cedar Point, there was somebody assigning seats, and they put us in the very back, and I should have said, hey, no, I'll wait for the next train. I don't want to go in the back, because it's definitely rough in the back. Not something that I couldn't tolerate, and I've been on rougher, but I really prefer this in the front or the middle. So when you're in the front and the middle, I don't think it's rough. Some people say it is. I don't think it is. I still enjoy Blue Streak. I think it does have some good airtime. It's a good, smaller wooden coaster. It's pretty well maintained for its age. Just a little roughness in the back keeps it down for me, and you know, it's kind of a short ride as well. But yeah, that is Blue Streak. I did say at the start of this video that some of my picks in order is going to be a little controversial. This one might be one of them. I'm putting Gemini at number 12. So Gemini has a decent cult following of people that love it. Like people's top 5. Some people are like, oh, it's my favorite at the park. I guess I just never saw that intense love for Gemini. I like Gemini. I like the racing aspect most of all to it, and I like that it is a long ride. And it's not super rough either. And it does apparently go 60 miles an hour. I feel like I don't really feel that speed when I'm on it. And I don't feel like, for example, it has a lot of good forces or good airtime. It's fun to race another train, especially how it's set up where you can high-five people on the other side. That is really, really cool and really neat. I like Gemini. Again, it's a long ride. I love long rides. But I feel like it's just missing some of that thrill for me. And it can be a little bumpy in spots. Also, when it's not racing, it's not as fun to me. Like, it's got to have the racing aspect for me to really enjoy it more. Honestly, I guess I just don't see why everybody praises it so highly as they do. If you're one of those people that absolutely love Gemini, let me know in the comments down below, like, what makes you really love it. Maybe I'm missing something, but that's just my personal opinion and my rides on Gemini. I still enjoy Gemini. I like Gemini. I just don't see the intense love for it that some people have for it. Number 11 for me is Iron Dragon. This is an aero suspended coaster. Honestly, I love these aero suspended coasters. This one doesn't pull as much of a punch as, say, Vortex at Canada's Wonderland or the Bad at Kings Island. That was my favorite aero suspended for sure. However, I still love Iron Dragon. I love how the cars swing. I especially love the ending where you dive down over the water. I think that's super cool, and I like that it's a long ride, and honestly, it's just pure fun. It's a great coaster for families to enjoy, and I especially like that they lowered the height limit recently, so more younger kids can enjoy Iron Dragon. I still find it to have enough forces to be enjoyable, but it's nothing too intense or crazy. And I do like the 2 lift hills. It gives it a longer ride. And I do love the swinging, and I think it's a fun ride. It doesn't pull anything super crazy force-wise, but when it does dive down over the lake at the end, that's a great finale, and you actually do get some forces with that spot of the coaster. But yeah, and it's super smooth, which adds to me liking it. And yeah, I gotta put it at number 11. Moving into the top 10, and I had to go back and forth with this placement between this and Iron Dragon, but ultimately I'm gonna put Wild Mouse at 10. The reason being is I love the setting on the boardwalk. The theming on this thing is so cool, it's so cute. And the spinning, wow, you get some actually crazy spinning on this, and it's pure fun. This is in my opinion, the best family coaster at Cedar Point. I love these Zamperla Wild Mouse coasters. Also, just a random little quirk, somehow when I rode it last time, I rode it twice when I was visiting Cedar Point and got the cheese car both times, which I don't know how rare that is. And also, I love going down the hill sideways. That's a lot of fun. Honestly, Wild Mouse I think is a good addition to Cedar Point, and I just put it at 10 over Iron Dragon because I think I've had more fun on this ride. But yeah, I wish it was a little longer though, but it's still a really cute ride. Number 9 for me is Cedar Point's newest coaster, Siren's Curse. So this wasn't originally intended for Cedar Point, but I think it's a great addition to the lineup. It's a really fantastic ride. It's incredibly smooth. I love the tilt track. Like, I hope we get more of these in the US. These tilt track coasters are great. The new generation Vekoma is wonderful. I like the onboard audio as well. I think that's a really nice added touch. So there's so many great coasters at Cedar Point. It gets hard. Just because this isn't number 9, it could be number 1 at a different park, but this is Cedar Point. My only other things that are keeping this from being higher is that I feel like the layout is just short. It's not a super long ride. I wish that it was longer, but I know this wasn't originally intended for Cedar Point, so I do take that into account. It still goes upside down 2 times. It still has a lot of airtime. It just feels short. I just wish it had more to it, but I love that first drop. I like the tilt track element. I love how smooth it is. It's an absolutely fantastic ride. It's a little short. I feel like it just needs something else, like some extra length, some extra elements to really make it even better than what it already is. Okay, and as I said with Siren's Curse, it's not that I dislike it, but there's so many wonderful coasters at Cedar Point. It gets hard when you get to the top, and I've went over these rankings so many times, but this is where I have them. Number 8 is Gatekeeper. So Gatekeeper, I think, is an absolutely gorgeous coaster. I love videoing this coaster, and I love taking pictures of this coaster, especially right as it goes over the main gate through those keyholes. And speaking of those keyholes, I love the near miss element with the keyholes. It's a perfect coaster to see when you're walking up to Cedar Point. I love how it goes over the front gate. and I love the length of this coaster. I feel like it's got a perfect length, and again, the near misses, they're great. The speed on this, you do feel the speed. And I love Gatekeeper, and I love how smooth it is, even now that it's gonna be 13 years old? Or 12? What? I gotta double check on that, but wow, it's crazy to me that it's already gonna be that old. And my only knock on it is after the mid-course brake run, there's not much of a track left. So, like, why is it there? But it is there. Other than that, I love Gatekeeper. It takes my number 8 spot. Again, I said it may be controversial, some of my rankings. Number 7, I've got to put Top Thrill 2. So this is a fantastic coaster, and Zamperla, in my opinion, did a great job. Top Thrill 2 I like better than the original Top Thrill. The launches are great. I love the backward launch up the spike. And then your third launch, you get to that 120 miles an hour, and there's nothing like going in 420 feet in the air at 100, and then going at 120 miles an hour. The only thing is, it's short. It's just kind of almost like a one-trick pony. I mean, better than the original for sure, because it's got more length to it. And I also noticed at the bottom of the hill, there's a very distinct rattle. And that kind of surprised me. It was actually a little bit jarring to me. I don't know if I'm the only one that experienced that. But yeah, just with it being short and kind of a one-trick pony, I can't put it really any higher, but it's still a fun and great ride. Number 6, I have Valravn. I love Valravn. I find it to be incredibly smooth. And yeah, it's kind of a gimmick with the dive, but I feel like that dive, it's so intense. Especially get in the front row if you can. Wow. Just to see it. I mean, you do get more airtime in the back though. So I feel like you need to ride in the front and the back to really get the full experience of Valravn. Holy crap though. This is like, I feel like it's so intense when it pulls you over both hills actually. The intensity is crazy, and maybe it's a little short, but I still feel like it's a good duration, whereas some of the dive coasters you only get the one dive. No, you get the 2, and you get a pretty complete layout overall. Could use a little extra length, but for some reason, yeah, the drops, how it pulls you over, to me is so intense. Like, it's a great moment. I really like that. And super smooth, and the 270 degree roll, I think that's a lot of fun as well. Yeah, Valravn, you definitely deserve number 6 spot. We made it to the top 5, and remember guys, these are all just my opinions, so please be respectful in the comments down below, because you may not agree with that, and that's okay. Sometimes people can be really disrespectful if people don't agree with people's like opinions on something just like roller coaster rankings. Like, you know, there's enough serious issues going on in the world that, you know, let's just have a nice, healthy, you know, polite discussion about what would you rank higher, or where would you put Millennium Force? Because for me, I have it at number 5. So Millennium Force, I love Millennium Force. One knock on it is like the seatbelt restraint, because I have thick thighs and it's kind of, you know, a little hard sometimes with the seatbelt restraint, so I will knock it for that. But it doesn't really have a lot of airtime either. It's more about the speed and the world's first Giga. That first drop never gets old. The view and just the layout is amazing. I love how long it is. Just weaves in and out, the tunnels, and the speed you feel on this thing. I love it. What can make it higher? Some more airtime. Like Fury 325, that's my favorite Giga, because wow, crazy airtime. However, Millennium Force, still an absolutely amazing coaster. Incredibly smooth, fast. I love it, personally, but there's 4 coasters that I do like more at Cedar Point. Number 4, Magnum XL 200. built back in 1989, was built before computers, and I think this is a phenomenal creation, the world's first hypercoaster by Arrow. So some people don't like this ride because it can be rough. I do agree that it does have rough spots. However, I still love it. So my favorite part of this ride is the bunny hills that you get on your return trip back to the station. Those are some of the craziest, if not the craziest, airtime I've ever experienced on a coaster. And if it does hurt you, I'll try to actually tuck my hand between the thigh and the handlebar, so then it doesn't hurt when you actually fly up out of your seat on those bunny hills. So once I learned that, it made it much more enjoyable. And just the views you get from Magnum, seeing the water park, the tunnel, I love it all. I also gained a new appreciation for Magnum when weather temporarily shut it down, and there was this amazing employee in the station doing Magnum trivia and just talking about Magnum and taking questions about Magnum. Her love for Magnum really, really was something, and it gave me a new appreciation for it, just like how amazing of a feat this coaster was without the computer. The first drop, I love the first drop, and also this music in the station, I love it, and apparently you can find it on YouTube, and I learned that from the ride operator, the employee that was working in the station, and that just was really memorable. Just hearing her talk about Magnum and just what it did for Cedar Point and coasters in general. But yeah, I love Magnum. I always will love Magnum. I do agree that it can be rough, so it's not my favorite. Obviously, it's number 4 for me at Cedar Point, but I think it's a must ride. And yeah, I think it deserves more love, honestly. Number 3 is Raptor, and for me, it is also the best B&M invert in the world that I have rode. I have it ranked over Montu, which a lot of people will argue is the best. I think Raptor is. I love all the inversions, the intensity, how it pulls you down that first drop. It feels like you're going faster than you are. The best part of it is just how intense it is. It has a really good helix at the end. It flows smoothly from element to element. You're never bored. Even though it is a longer invert, it's still intense. I love the older B&M inverts because of the intensity. It's still smooth. I know some people may say it's got a little roughness. I don't feel like it does. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic invert. Great coaster. Takes my number 3 spot. It's close, but for me, my number 2 at the park is still Vengeance, the RMC conversion from Old Main Street. You start out already with airtime before you even go up the lift hill. And this lift hill, you got that 205-foot height on it. Crazy speed of up to 74 miles an hour. I love the 90-degree drop. You really get yanked over that hill. It's smooth, but it's aggressive at the same time with the elements, but not in a bad way, in a very, very good way. This thing's over a mile long, and it never lets up. It has nearly 30 seconds of airtime. You really feel that airtime throughout the ride. Crazy airtime. Wow. You're always out of your seat. I'm just am I safe in this? But I know I am. But it's a good, crazy airtime. There's points, especially coming back into the station, where I'm like, am I going left? Am I going right? Because it's just that fast, that intense, that pure crazy, but in the best way possible. Only thing is, sometimes I feel like maybe it's a little too much, especially coming back, you're like, oh my gosh. And I don't like RMC's restraints. And this coaster always gives me bruises on my thighs. Maybe it could just be because I do have thick thighs. If I didn't, maybe it wouldn't be such a big issue, but I do. So it always leaves me bruised, but it's always well worth it. Yeah, here when you're weaving in and out of the structure, that's probably some of the craziest part. I think it's honestly a fantastic, fantastic, fantastic coaster, and I understand why a lot of people put it number one. But I have one coaster at Cedar Point that I put above Steel Vengeance. Number one for me, and honestly, what I think is an absolute perfect coaster, is Maverick. So you've got two launches. I love launches, like a launched lift hill, and then you get yanked so hard over that beyond vertical drop at the top of the launched lift hill. Honestly, that is the hardest I feel like I've ever been yanked out of my seat. And you look at it from the ground and you don't think it's gonna be that crazy, but holy crap, this coaster is the definition of intense. And you've got great airtime as well. And then the second launch out of the tunnel going up to 70 miles an hour. Wow. Yeah, two inversions, and I would have loved to see this coaster when it had the Heartline roll, but it was determined to be, too intense. But honestly, I would have loved it. Every time this coaster ends, I'm just like, whoa, let's go again. Whoa. I don't find any issue with the restraints either. Some people do. And the layout, I think, is really great, honestly. There's no dead spots or anything. It's fantastic. Maverick is my number one at Cedar Point, and I just love it. Let me know in the comments down below what your number one is. I know there's other people out there that like Maverick over Steel Vengeance. Are you one of those, or do you prefer Steel Vengeance, or perhaps Millennium Force is your favorite? Let me know, and again, thank you so much for watching.